Lead counsel in this case, David Utter from Fair Fight. Please come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to sort of echo that the lawyers that are working on this case are doing this in support of the advocates and community leaders behind us. What I can say about the case is that Louisiana deserves better. Right? This sort of move to Angola and this lawsuit is really about an incredibly low bar, right? Whether the state is treating children with deliberate indifference and a former death row, Louisiana should be ashamed that that's the question. There are other states that handle kids just as tough, just as big, just as strong, just as troubled without throwing them into a cell. They also do it, I might add, from a public policy perspective, but not putting them away from their home in a secure care facility. Many states have far fewer kids locked up. Louisiana needs to follow those states in terms of a policy direction. But this case, sadly, is about a very low bar. Is Louisiana deliberately indifferent to the health and safety of these young people? I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
What's the latest on what happened today in court? Can you kind of talk about that?
Sure. Today was eventful. I suppose that the state is actively engaged in violating one of its laws, and a really, really important law, and that is that the state should not be holding children in solitary confinement. I've got two demonstrative aids. One here that shows average time out of the cell for some of the people on cell restriction. Now, everybody in this press conference would call it what it is. It's solitary confinement, but the state's calling it cell restriction. We finally got some documents, and we're showing that they're keeping kids locked up for extraordinary long periods of time. And remember, these are young people. Right? The consensus is no juvenile should ever be held in solitary. And then the second, of course, is a picture of the cell. This is a former death row. These are where children are spending up to 20, 22, 23 hours a day in these cells. And again, these are kids that need to move, that need to run, right? They need to exercise. They need to play. And I would say that's the primary thing that came out of today's testimony. Was
what are you anticipating coming in the fall? It's 2 days, right? So
yeah, it's fluid. Everybody's calling different witnesses and responding to the other side. We've got a couple experts tomorrow. Susie Vasella will talk about heat, extreme heat, and what that does to kids. And then we've got an education expert, Joe Gagnon, who will testify. And beyond that, it's guards, and we'll see what happens.
David, if not Angola, where else could they go? They've broken out of Bridge City numerous times. That's not an option. Where else could they go? I know the facility in Monroe is about to be completed, I think, according to Senator Barrow. Where do they go?
Yeah, it's not so much like what do you do with these kids, except treat them humanely and program, as one expert has told me, program the heck out of them, right? Keep them busy, keep them active, keep them engaged, develop individual plans that identify to them to keep them moving forward, progressing. But there's no question Louisiana also has too many kids locked up, right? There are enough staff in these facilities, there are enough beds in these facilities if we stop locking up kids that we didn't need to lock up. So it's about really shrinking the population and then taking our resources and really delivering the individualized care that each kid deserves.
And I guess, what do you say to some of these kids' victims? You had one kid who was there who broke out of Bridge City twice. He allegedly shot someone. They're now paralyzed in uptown New Orleans. What do you say to the victims' families who are saying, hey, we don't want them out. We want them to stay in Angola?
It's not so much what the victims want. The victims want what we want. Everybody here wants a safe public. Everybody here wants thriving, safe communities. And one of the best ways, quite frankly, to rehabilitate anybody, child or adult, is to have some sort of restorative justice with their victims. Now, it's completely up to the victims, but nobody here is saying that victims don't have a really important voice in this. But my bet is that most victims I've ever met, what they want is to be safe. And what Louisiana is doing right now is not making us safer.
And so y'all's concerns mostly lie around about the AC not being there and them just being there in general in Angola, or has the AC been out? What have you been hearing from them from on the ground?
So, today there was testimony that the AC was working or that they had AC, but then there's also testimony that it wasn't working. That's all over the map, and we're going to litigate that. So I'm not going to comment on that. The problem with Angola is it is an adult prison. As Vinny Schiraldi testified last year, it screams prison. And when you put a young person whose mind is developing, whose notion of who they are as a person is in the process of developing, and you put them in an adult prison and you put them in a cell, what are they going to think they are? Who are they going to dream to be?
David, we heard from the judge today a little bit about her observations when she visited the facility. Did you guys also take a tour, and did you see similar scenes that she described?
This is the second tour I've been on. I did one a week ago, and I did one in September before the hearing then, and shocker, it's still a prison, right? It's still got these really bleak cells. It still has razor wire everywhere. The rec area, I love my dog. I would not put my dog in that rec area. I mean, it's just it's a pen. And so, look, it's still a prison. It's still a really bad place for human beings, especially kids.
How many kids are there
Back
still
that
right
up,
now?
so like my competition just said, we heard from them testify that they've had attempted breakouts, that they've had the kids out there in the rec area trying to break through that fence and have almost really actually been successful. So, again, where should they go then? If these kids are breaking out from these facilities, what do you expect them to get?
Yeah. The question is why? Why are they trying to break out? Why are they fighting? Why are they acting out? We have not heard yet, and this is the second sort of hearing on this, but we've not heard yet a good explanation for that. Look, when your kid's acting out at school, yes, they hold a kid accountable, but they also hold you accountable. And nobody's holding OJJ accountable. That's what everybody here is saying, right? From a policy perspective, let's hold the state accountable. These kids are in state custody, right? It's the state's responsibility to make sure that they're getting what they need, so they're not breaking out, so they're getting educated, so they're actually, getting the counseling they need to work through, let's face it, a lot of trauma these kids are. There was a lot of testimony today about what high needs kids they are.
And how many kids are there in there right now? How many is it?
We were told 14, I believe, today.
14, okay.
One is too many.
Right, thank you.
Do you know their age ranges too? Age ranges?
In Louisiana, you can put a child in the juvenile system for ages 10 to what I think is 21. When they turn 21, they age out.
Do you guys think that y'all will be successful here?
I don't have a crystal ball. We're going to fight like heck, that's for sure.
By faith, yes. By law, question.
Thank you very, very much.